Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is Leo 2, and yeah, I'm ready for these cards to change. I have found, honestly, the Five of Wands, right? So much frustration. Nothing's moving forward. Everything seems to be, tied up somehow. I have found this Decan to be extremely stressful. Competition-wise, like I haven't really had anything competitive wise or competition wise, but just frustration, like nothing working out, nothing clicking, nothing connecting. I'm at that time in my with my small business where it's time to start looking at insurance for the year, and just constant issues with that, and question after question after when every other year it has never been this big of an issue, right? And it's not even an issue. I shouldn't even say that because it's not. It just went different than it has previous years. And looking at different insurance companies and looking at different stuff. So I guess the competition part of that there, but not on my part of things, on their part of things, right? Competitive prices, competitive payments, different things like that, right? So insurances, which is crazy. Just nothing was clicking, nothing was connecting, nothing is adding up. I have people that are trying to come here and learn and book their Reiki classes and stuff like that, and emails were getting lost, which is obviously we're in Mercury in retrograde, we're going into it, right? So we're in the shadow, the pre-shadow, and so that's obviously some influence with that, right? But I just feel like with this Decan and Mercury in retrograde starting and being in the pre-shadow, it was, on my side of things, it was a nightmare. It was, like I said, nothing clicked, nothing connected, nothing's working out. So I'm really happy to see this go because I'm really quite tired of it. The world came into play in an interesting way. Like a new chapter ended and another one began. So to me, that's very much aligned with how I see the world and how things happen with that. So really weird. All of this stuff kind of came forward, and strength, totally needing to be strength, needing to contain, needing to have patience, control my temper, come from a calmer mindset, a calmer attitude. So definitely feeling all this happening. Yeah, but like I said, I'm ready for it to all change. Honestly, I'm ready for these cards to change. This is our last Decan with the Knight. After this, we're moving to the King. So over here, these little side energies that I talk about, how to get to know the court cards, right? These ones will be changing. So this is our last Decan with the Knight. It'll be changing to the King of, let me see, it was the King of, I just looked at it. Sorry, guys. My mind's kind of blah today. So we'll be going to the King of Pentacles. So that'll be being switched out. That'll be next Decan, though. All right, let's get in here. Let's change out these cards. Let's see what this new Decan is bringing in, which I'm really excited about because we all know what it is. It is the Six of Wands. Say goodbye to frustration and competition and just ridiculousness. All right, here's our Six of Wands. And the world is being switched out for Wheel of Fortune. And then we'll switch these two out. The Hermetic Tarot, the Six of Wands, and the Wheel of Fortune. So in the Hermetic Tarot, it's the Lord of Victory. And with the Wheel of Fortune is called Lord of the Forces of Life. And let's see if I can move this all up a little bit because we're almost off screen. There, that's better. And then we're dealing with our planetary influence. We've got Jupiter. Look at me smashing my cards all over the place. We've got Jupiter. It's crazy to me because the beginning of the Leo season, as soon as we turned into the sign Leo, I've felt so much heat. The sun seems to be like unbearably hot. I went for a walk and the other last weekend, right as the decan changed. I think it was the first day. I think it was the first day in Leo. If not, it was the second day, but I'm pretty sure it was the first day in Leo. I got this crazy weird sunburn on my face. So me and my husband went for a really nice long car ride just to get out of the house and to do something. And I don't know. I've never had anything like this ever happen to me before, but I guess like the way the sun was shining in the window, it was hitting my face funny or something. I don't know. But I got such a bad sunburn on my one cheek, just my cheek. Like it was insane. It hurt so bad. It swelled a little bit. Like it was really bad. So that happened, which was crazy. But I feel like I don't know, and like I burnt myself, which is not a typical thing. I burnt myself the other day on the oven. So like I just feel like there's like this weird like fire heat like element in place. Obviously we're dealing with the fire element, right? But like just strange. And I find it like almost unbearable to go outside. It is so hot. It is so humid. It is disgusting out. Um I feel like, and I'm not saying this about Leos, but I feel like there's like this level of aggression in everything too right now, which is really weird. It could be the Mercury influence. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. Things are just really messed up. But with the Six of Wands coming in, I'm hoping that these energies kind of get better, right? So the Wheel of Fortune to me is very much that like to me, the Wheel of Fortune is not a good card and it's not a bad card. It's kind of a neutral card. And it's one of those cards where sometimes it's good. Sometimes you're at the top of the wheel. Sometimes you're on your way down. Sometimes you're at the bottom. And sometimes you're on your way up. So it just depends on where you are, like what's happening, right? So that's why to me, like the Wheel of Fortune is very much, it can be good, it can be bad. It depends. It depends on what's happening and where you're at on the wheel, right? But I feel like with victory, I feel that there's more of a positive light in this card, and maybe it's going to be on our way up and then like reaching the top, right? So I feel like the victory, it might be ours. I'm feeling it's ours, but it could be somebody else's. But I feel that in some which way or another, there's going to be a victory for us in something, right? It could be very little, it could be big. I mean, who knows, right? But I do like that this is here now. I'm happy with that. I'm good. So let's get in here fast. Let's read about Jupiter. We've already visited these. You can go back to Leo 1 if you want to read into those a little bit more. But let's look at Jupiter. All right, Jupiter. So Jupiter is the generous daddy, the one to provide luck, good fortune, and benevolence. It expands horizons and bestows optimism. It encourages faith, lifts spirits high. Philosophy and meanings of life are its characteristics. So that's wonderful, right? Like this is great energy happening here. I am so excited for this to come in place. I need some victories, right? I feel like we all need some victories right now. Now, I'm going to say this once again, and I've said it maybe a couple times in my videos. If you don't have this book, I really highly suggest that you get it or get a Kindle copy or something. I'm not advertising and making money on this. I'm just saying there's so much information in this book that is extremely valuable. Very rarely do I boast about a book or be like, this is amazing, but this book is really honestly amazing. There's so much information in these chapters that I don't even touch on, right? I briefly talk about the things that are of importance or the things that I think that are important, but there's so much stuff here that she goes into that is extremely beneficial. She talks about the Kabbalah tree of life. She talks about astrological associations and kind of in depth in some of the chapters. She talks about the Pixitrick and like how that comes into play in a couple different cards and chapters. There's just a lot that she goes into and talks about that like I don't even really refer to, because these videos are meant to be very light, kind of guiding, but I want you guys to really honestly dive into this and figure this out for yourselves and experience it for yourselves, right? Because like tarot, I feel like everything is very individualized, everything's very personal, right? So I don't want to influence and I don't want to go into things too deeply, because I really think that this is all our own personal journeys to go through, right? But if you do not have this book and you have the extra money or the means to get it, definitely consider doing it. It will not be it won't be money wasted. It is a fantastic book. I'm going to treasure this and have this in my collection for the rest of my life. I absolutely love how she says things, how she explains things. I love it. It's wonderful. Let's get in here and read about the things that stood out to me. All right, so she opens the chapter with fame, kudos, victory. In the Six of Wands, we find glorious Jupiter bestowing his blessings on the heart of the sun's own sign, Leo. Is it any surprise that we have stumbled upon a victory parade in procession? It is the fixed heart of Leo. The solar light is ready and bright, illuminating Jupiter's boundless glittering gifts. And then she goes on to talk about, although many versions of the Wheel of Fortune exist in tarot, some esoteric, others less so, over the centuries, they have shared a common element: a great centered wheel surmounted by 3, occasionally 4 creatures. These represent the ever-changing cycles of fortune, which elevates some while abasing others in the same smooth motion, right? So that thing that I was talking about, how it's like sometimes you're at the top of the wheel, sometimes you're on your way down, sometimes you're at the bottom, sometimes you're on your way up, right? So there's your four elements. So she talks about how in earlier editions of this card, there was 4 men on the wheel, right? So it was I rule, I have ruled, I shall rule, I am without a kingdom, right? So once again, those 4 phases or cycles of the Wheel of Fortune. And she talks about how the Six of Wands, we stand at the very apex of the wheel, right? So the Six of Wands symbolizes the top of that wheel, where fortune smiles upon us, not the anticipation, but the announcement. Waite suggests that his laurel horseman might be read in many positive ways: a victor, triumphing, great news, a crown of hope, and even expectations crowned with one's own desire. So, as for the Six of Wands in the Zodiacal Major, the Strength card, it too telegraphs agency and leadership. This is partly self-evidence from the lemniscate, I believe that's how you say it, above her head, a symbol of infinity, which looks like and is meant to look like the broad-brimmed hat once worn by Fortitude in the Marseille decks. And then she talks about how the zodiacal correspondence of strength with Leo, the sun's own sign. She then goes on to talk about the stars, the sign Leo in the sky, and how one of the 4 royal stars shine the brightest in the constellation. It is known as the Kingmaker or the Watcher of the South, which is the fixed star is Regulus. And she goes in a little bit further about the astrological association, the stars, the actual constellation of Leo and stuff like that, which we're not going to get into too deep. And then we go in to look at this Six of Wands a little bit more deeply. So Pamela Coleman Smith's Six of Wands image is a man with white garland on his head, a man who wears a white myrtle crown, or a man wearing a wreath of white basil, right? Each of the herbs are symbolic in reverence, right? Basil being, it denotes kingship and is Greek for king. Myrtle is associated with the Garden of Eden and has connection into the Kabbalah tree of life. And then the laurel crowning is associated with the solar Apollo and his pursuit of the nymph Daphne, and she transformed into laurel to escape his pursuits. So each one of those have very, very different symbolism and different energies that they can bring into this card. And then she goes on to talk about how, though in the Pixitrick-based text, that this card isn't always seen as a radiant, bright victory card, right? That there is some negative in it, such as hidden quarrels, unknown victories over vile men, and occasional lawsuits and battles, which is really interesting because I can see how that plays into that card, right? But to me, I always have seen this card as a very positive card, a very happy card. You know, like I said, a victorious victory, right? Like everything working out or something actually working out, right? She then says, in other words, when it comes to these cards, you who controls all possible fortunes, good and evil, kindly send along good ones. And because Jupiter is a legendary, generous, perhaps he hears and grants our prayers. So kind of that paying it forward attitude as well too, right? Which is an excellent thing to do. So she says when this card shows up in her life or in her daily readings, it's usually means that something has worked out for her, whether that's she receives a royalty check of some sorts, or there's an uptick in sales or public exposure in the form of audio or video interviews, different things like that, right? Where you're brought into the eye of the public in a way, right? And victories, right? A royalty check, something going well, something that you've been waiting on or that you need. So her takeaway and the way she closes the chapter out is when you draw the Six of Wands, enjoy your moment in the sun. You may find yourself being publicly recognized or celebrated. You may have a sense of achievement. You might also feel that these victories are unearned. There is a grain of truth to that, but do not diminish others' prides in you by rejecting their praise, right? So if someone's going to give you compliments and feels that you did something awesome, accept that, right? Don't take that away from them. None of us can know for sure whether we deserve our good fortune, and few of us deserve the suffering fortune sends our way. So accept your position in the limelight with grace, knowing that one, it will not last forever, and two, it will surely again come a different day. So yeah, like I said, there is obviously a lot in this that I'm not touching on, that if you own this book, go in, dive in deep, find out all that information, come to your own ideas of how the Six of Wands is going to come into this Decan and what's going to come forward. I've got a couple things that are kind of, like I said, right on the edge of manifesting and becoming something. So hopefully, like this is some of those things connecting. If I go way back to when we were looking at the Seven of Pentacles and that slow energy, I still have things sitting and waiting from the Seven of Pentacles to click and to happen. They're literally just sitting in limbo. How crazy is that? So, Seven of Pentacles, a very slow, long energy, which we kind of already knew, right? But like, it's starting to get a little ridiculous. But yeah, like there are still things from the Seven of Pentacle Decan that are still in the sidelines or on the back burners, just trying to manifest. But like I said, there's like this restriction, this like inability for it to actually come forward. So really interesting. All right, let's get in here and let's read about the Hermetic Tarot's take on the Six of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune. All right, so we've got Wheel of Fortune, Lord of the Forces of Life. The wheel of all life is presided over by the sordid sphinx of Egypt. The letters tarot, Taro, and then they have the apostrophe T, which I believe is just going back up to that center, appears as the four directions of the wheel and also form the word rhoda, meaning wheel, right? The glyph at the center of the wheel is sealed by Ezekiel, and the symbol for Jupiter appears in the cushion at the bottom. The letter kaf means palms of the hands, in the lines of which one fortune can be read. So a little bit of referral to palm reading. Very interesting. All right, let's get in here and look at this card. So there's Jupiter in the cushion. Here's your letters, Tarot, or Rhoda, Rota, right? So there's all that stuff going on in that card. Okay, and then there's a cat here, sorry. And then 6 of Wands. So we have Lord of Victory. 2 hands grasping 6 crossed wands. Flames issue from the point of junction. At the top of 2 of the wands are eagle heads representing Jupiter. On the others are arrows and wings emerging from flowers. Above are 2 small wands with pointed flames together, the bottom 2 flame wands pointing away from each other. These wands were all used by the Secret Order of the Golden Dawn. At the lower center are flames rising from the clouds. The symbol of Jupiter and Leo appear in the top and bottom of the card. All right. Let's look at that. So there we got the 2 hands coming in, holding that ring. We've got the flowers coming from those. Here's the winged ones. Here's your eagle heads for Jupiter. And then Jupiter down here and Leo down at the bottom. Crazy, eh? So much symbolism. The Hermetic Tarot is like, sometimes I just stare at them and I'm like, okay, I know that every single little mark, every single little flower, every single little something on these cards is a symbol for something. And there's just so much going on that it's like, my brain just has such a hard time remembering and processing that much information. And I feel that that's why I always navigate back to the RW, because I feel like even though it is very rich in symbolism, it's not as crazy in symbolism as the Hermetic. Like, I feel like the Hermetic Tarot makes my mind, like, it makes my brain hurt trying to remember like all of the different things going on them, right? Whereas like the RW, there's enough symbolism to make it interesting, but not so much that it's overwhelming, right? At least to me. All right, so that is our Decan. This is our Leo 2. This is what's coming into play. Once again, these have not changed. So we're dealing with the Ace of Wands, the Page of Wands, and the Knight of Wands. So all that wand energy happening, right? In the Hermetic Tarot, it is the Princess, not the Page. So we've got these over here. These are those little extra energies that we can tap into if you feel like it. But yeah, so this is the next 10 or so days, and I'm ready for it. Like I said before, I think we all need some small victories. I don't care how small it is. I need some victories. I need something to work out. So this Decan is in place from July 31st to August 10th. And our next video will be August 11th, and that Decan will be going into the 7 of Wands. And there'll be a few other things kind of changing out. Like I said, the King of Pentacles will be coming in. But yeah, so we're already in August, everybody, which is insane. It's absolutely insane to me that we're already in our August decans. Hopefully your victories are great, whether they be small or large. Hopefully things just kind of start connecting and working out. I am ready for that. And hopefully Jupiter bestows some beautiful gifts upon you. And this, I'm predicting, is going to be an excellent Decan coming around. So enjoy it. All right, I will see you guys on the next video. Have fun. Enjoy your Decan.